Hey there, everybody. I just want to do a quick how-to guide on how to upgrade your characters. So from the menu, you can just go to the character list, pick whichever character you wish to upgrade. So in this case, I've got a couple of units that are at level 1. So when you first pull a unit, you'll find it in your character list, usually near the bottom, and it will be pretty much all the new units you're going to be pulling for are going to be gold or 3-star base. So they'll start at level 1. And they will have 3 stars to start off with. You can get them up to 6 stars, and you can get them up to a maximum of level 110. You can also limit break them to get different effects. And so we're gonna really quick just sort of run through the basics of how to do this. Probably the most important thing you'll want to notice with any unit, especially if you're a newer player and you're just starting out, the first thing you want to do is you want to try and get them to rarity 4-star as quickly as possible, because that is what unlocks their EX skill. And most of these units, have really nifty EX skills that really vastly improve their kits. And so definitely unlocking a unit to 4-star is going to be pretty critical. Now, don't necessarily do it for all your units, especially if you're a newer player just starting out. Definitely take a look and see if that's a character that you're actually going to utilize in your team. So my advice is to start with a team of 5, like a basic party of 5, and work on getting all those units to rarity 4 first, and then start working on getting them all to rarity 5. Okay, now to actually do any of this upgrading, obviously you've got 5 different tabs up here at the top that you can choose from to upgrade your unit. The most basic is upgrading with pixels. You can get pixels from events. You can get them from farming pixel stages. So there are currently 2 bonus stages that give pixels, and there is currently a 4 times pixel event campaign going on. So I highly recommend you farm pixels from bonus stage. I think it's bonus 3-1 currently is the best place to farm your pixels. But you can also farm it from bonus 1-1. That's perfectly fine as well if you haven't made it to chapter 3 yet in the story. And so leveling up is quite simple. Generally what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and max level them up as soon as you can. Okay, and then you can just hit the max level. Or if you're just trying to slowly, I remember when I first started, it was just basically just slowly creeping units up to their max level. Or yeah, you can just do that too. But generally, just go ahead and hitting max level to get them up. All right. Now, obviously, once you hit the maximum for that rarity, you'll want to look to upgrade them to the next rarity. And so for if you want to upgrade a new unit to rarity 5, it is going to take, I believe it's 30, it's going to take 9 red orbs, okay? And you can see where you can get these from, okay? It's going to take 30, I believe 30 of the blue orbs to go from a 3-star to a 5-star, and it's going to take, I think, 250 truth orbs to go from, we'll find out in a second, to go from level 3 rarity to 5 rarity. Okay, and so again, it mentions that it unlocks that EX skill, so that'll disappear now because we've made it to rarity 4, and we're going to go ahead and upgrade this guy to rarity 5 because we might as well. It's 300, so it's 300 white orbs. All right, 300 white orbs, 30 blues, and 9 reds to go from 3-star to 5-star rarity. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade this guy. All right, now if you happen to have some of these guys, wisdom orbs, these guys are pretty hard to get, but if you have enough of them, you can go all the way to 6-star, and you can do this on any unit, but I would highly recommend you wait and see sort of who your best and most used unit or units are before you upgrade to 6-star, because the resource requirement for going to 6-star is a huge leap. All right, it even takes a different kind of pixel to upgrade, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. But as you can see, it takes 5 of these wisdom orbs, which may not seem like a lot, but man, it takes a lot to make a wisdom orb, I'm just telling you. They do give away some for free through certain events and things like that. Like they're giving away quite a few currently for the 1st anniversary. But when they're not giving them away, the crafting requirements are pretty steep on these guys. All right. Now it takes 10 more of the red orbs and 50 of the blues and 500 of the whites to go up to 6 stars. So you can see how there's a huge jump in resource requirement to go from 6 stars. So if you're a newer player, don't worry about 6 star right away, okay? It's something that you're gonna have to work up to and build towards. Now, they do give you a lot of resources for the 1st anniversary, but like I said, it might be better to wait and see what unit is going to be sort of like your go-to unit for most content before you think about leveling up to 6-star rarity. Now, once you have gone up to Rarity Up, you can go back to level upgrade, max level them up, woohoo, and there you go. All right, once you have them to the highest rarity that you feel like that you can get to, then you can start you can start looking at stat boosts. So this is where attack cubes and defense cubes come from. You can check where to find them. You can farm them from a lot of different stages. They're usually dropped by random enemies, and you can farm them from different stages. You can check the compendium for the best stages to farm some of these things like attack cubes and defense cubes. All right, and it's pretty simple. You can do 7 steps for each cube. Each upgrade gives you 3 points towards your base stat. So like 3 points towards your base attack. And so that means you're getting a total of 21 extra base attack, which doesn't seem like all that much if you max them out. But when you include things like buffs, you include, both your passive and your active buffs, it does add up over time. And it is especially useful if you are, a very competitive player in boss battle simulators. You definitely want to increase your attack up all the way. I believe the total cost is something like 290 cubes in order to totally max out your attack stat. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to double check that, but yeah, I think it's like 290 cubes to go all the way up and get all 7 ones, because it increases by 10 each time you do it. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a big commitment. But yeah, that's something that you can obviously look at. You can also buy these things from the exchange shop for picks. So that's another good place to pick up cubes as well. All right, once you've used your stat boosts to increase them however much you want, you then want to look at getting an ability seed for them. Now you see this HP boost, attack boost, and defense boost. So those are going to be passive buffs that you can roll when you roll for your ability seeds. There are 3 types of seeds. You've got your general customization seed. You've got your MB, your blue seed or MB seed, and you've got your GB or your red seed. The whole point of these different colored seeds is that red seeds have a greater chance of giving you better passive buffs and better abilities. And so the abilities come in 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star varieties. And again, check the DPG compendium. I have listed all the possible customization seeds that you can get in the game, and I've listed them all out so you can see what they are and what they do, so you can know what to look for and what might be the best seeds for whatever unit you're pulling for. I'm just going to use these seeds, which have the lowest rate of buffs and abilities, but there's still a chance that you get a really good ability and really good buff stats. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Now you notice that there are 2, you've got the buffs on the bottom and the ability on the top, and you can do them independently. So if you want to keep the buffs on the bottom and the ability, but the ability on top, you're like, nah, I don't really care, I don't really want that, you can choose them independently. When you're doing your first seed, you might as well just confirm the first thing that you get. That way you have a good base to start from. You at least have something to start with. And then you can go back and you can start being, picky about other things. So here we definitely want to keep the current buffs passive stats, but maybe we like the new effect. Yeah, it's like, oh, I like that new effect, so I'm going to take the new effect and I'm going to confirm. All right, make sure you confirm if you want to keep those new ones. Now, let's say you roll something and you don't like either one of them. You're like, both of those really suck. I'm just going to go ahead and hit redo now and see what the next ones are. And it'll go ahead and just automatically roll up. Now, maybe you're saying, ooh, I actually really like that new effect, but I want to keep, or I like the new buffs, but I want to keep the old ability. And there you go. All right. And so that's how you basically roll your ability customization seeds. Okay. Now, some seeds are going to be better for certain units. Like I said, check the compendium that I've listed in the description below to see which ones you can potentially get and which ones you think are going to be best for the unit that you've pulled for. All right. Now, if you've pulled multiple copies of a unit, then you can potentially limit break that unit. So you'll actually see here that you have to have 100 medals. All right, 100 of these little medals for the unit in order to do one limit break. All right, so for each 100 medals you get, you can do a limit break on that unit. You can also use, if you have them, if you have limit break stones, you can actually use those as well. So here's what the limit break stones look like. And so you go to the item selection and you choose the limit break stones, and you will be able to see, oh yeah, okay, cool. You have limit break stones, and it tells you how many you need to increase the rarity on a certain unit. So a 1-star base unit, you need 10 limit break stones. For a 2-star base, it's 15, and for a 3-star base, it's going to take 20 stones in order to raise the limit break level on that unit. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't really want to use those on this guy. All right, and in fact, all right, how do I get that out? Oh gosh, I don't want to accidentally use them. I'm gonna get out of that. There we go. Whew. I don't want to accidentally waste my limit break stones on this guy. Now, limit breaking a unit can really dramatically increase their power. So for the first 3 steps, and I always say if you want to get the most out of a unit, you want to look to go for LB3. All right, getting to LB3 is sort of like that sweet spot for most units because you're getting the greatest increase in stats. You get 35% boost to your HP, 35% to your attack, and 35% boost to your defense. Plus you get the added skill effect, the skill boost, and your SP reduction at LB3. So that is sort of like your sweet spot, your golden zone for any unit that you might want to pull. LB3 is a really sweet spot for a lot of units. I would say if you can hit LB2, that's also generally pretty good because you're at least getting the added skill effects and the skill boost at LB2. But the SP reduction is really helpful in a lot of different scenarios, especially if the unit that you have has a really high SP cost. Getting them to LB3 for that innate SP reduction is really nice. Now, for a lot of the EX units, so if you have an EX unit, let's say you've got Donald here. So for these EX units at LB4, okay, generally I would say it's not worth it to go beyond LB3 for most players because you can see this very small incremental increases beyond LB3. It's only going up like 2%, all right, beyond, for each level beyond LB3. So there's not really a huge reason to get more than LB3 unless you're a whale and you're just pulling like crazy. But with these EX units, they've added an extra ability customization slot. So for example, Donald, when he reaches LB4, I'll actually have a second ability I can roll for him. Now, you don't get 2 sets of passive buffs. You just get an extra ability that you can roll on him. And that's pretty useful on these EX units. That's only for the EX units, though. So everything else that's not an EX unit will not get that extra ability slot at LB4. So there's no reason, for example, for me to get Hades to anything higher than LB3, okay? Now, Hades is a fairly trash unit, so I'm not even going to bother with him, really, but just using him as an example here, okay? Now, if you do get a unit to LB, let me go back. If you do get a unit to 6-star rarity, I had mentioned that the resource requirements are pretty steep. So let's take Simba here. So I have Simba at 6-star, but I haven't fully upgraded him to level 110 yet. That is because once you get to 6-star, to level up a unit beyond level 90, you can't use regular pixels anymore. You have to use these super upgrade pixels. And the only way you can get these is by crafting them. And the crafting cost is really quite stupid. It's 300 pix at 500 pixels, and you have to have this special stuff called pixel glue in order to craft just one of these pixels. So the cost is really, really quite crazy. And then to even craft the wisdom orbs is quite expensive as well. 2,500 pix, 3,000 pixels, and 5 of these wisdom orb fragments, which you generally can only get from event exchange shops. So yeah, so the requirements for a 6-star unit are pretty steep. Now they're getting better about just giving out the resources for these, so it will become easier to 6-star and upgrade those 6-star units. But yeah, as you can see, it takes a while to upgrade these units. Like, you know, I'm still working on Simba. It's still going to be a while because I don't have enough pixel glue. So it's going to be a while before I can eventually get him. Oh, I can get him up to level 106. So hey, that's pretty exciting. All right, I'll go ahead and do that now since I have the upgrade pixels to do that. But yeah, it's not something where you can just go and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to level 110 to max out all my units. Woohoo! Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way, guys. So, you know, maxing out a unit at Rarity 5 is fairly simple now. It used to, you know, early on in the game, when you're just starting, it might seem like a bit of a hurdle, but maxing out units at Rarity 5 is generally can be done pretty quickly. But a 6-star unit, maxing them out is going to take a fair bit of time. All right, and that's just how it is right now. It'll become easier as the game goes on. But yeah, as you can see, you know, I haven't maxed out all my 6-star units because I've run out of materials. I don't have enough materials to do it. But yeah, if you are looking to 6-star unit, let me recommend to you that damage dealers are the best units to do 6-star with, because the only benefit to getting a unit to 6-star is increase in stats. You don't get anything else for doing a 6-star unit. You don't get any other added benefit other than just increased stats. And the units that benefit the most from an increase in stats are your damage dealers. So, you know, if you want to make your support units more tanky or your healers more tanky, that's fine. But generally, damage dealers are going to see the greatest benefit from getting a 6-star upgrade. All right. So I think that's about it. This video is getting a bit long, but I just wanted to put that out there and just have another video kind of explaining how we upgrade our units and maybe some things to consider while you're upgrading your units. So thank you guys for following me, and I will see you on the other side.